Got the co-founder of the Cycle Hub, an online and physical bike shop. If you're a cyclist, you know the name. Sam Sayadan is. So I suppose, Sam, the question is, your business set up, you were one of the first, one of the outliers, one of the first that set this cycling revolution on its way here. Cycle Hub has been established for how long now?
We're almost 13 years now established, actually.
The mantra was back then to try and get more people on bikes. We've definitely done that.
Yes, definitely.
There are more and more people going up and down Al Qudra. They're going out on other rails as well. Are more people cycling to work?
I would like to say yes. I think it depends on where you live, so it's limited to the locations. There has been great improvement in the cycle access around Jumeirah and Dubaieye area, that those cycle lanes there and more, let's say, the government, actually the RTA sort of efforts in helping and enhancing the riding culture in that area has helped increase mobility. The metro obviously didn't exist at one point, so that allowed you to take your bike, folding bikes, or just move around better and then use the metro as well. Less reliance on a car or the bus, which is also a very good system. By the way, the bus system here is excellent. So when we talk mobility, you have to remember it's bus, tram, public transport. Then usually they say that the people mobility is the last mile, like Jaydeep mentions, is that people get to wherever they're going for the last mile, the last 1 kilometer, which is acceptable to walk for, let's say, 15 minutes or something, or 20 minutes, if you can walk that fast. So there are ways to get around, just needs more improvement and maybe more accessibility in some of the areas. Like I would say bicycle racks. Everyone should have a bicycle rack outside every building, every office building, every institution. If you say, I'm going to come today to the radio station, I should know where the bike racks are, so I would aim for them if I was going to come here.
Another USP for Dubai. Bicycle racks, they don't get stolen here.
Yeah, and secure racks. So some cities like in Europe, they talk about improving their cycle culture, but the first thing they talk about is increasing bicycle parking and safe parking zones. So they say we've got a parking structure with 4,000 bikes that can take, or 2,000 bikes in the inner city areas. Those are measures of how good a city's cycling friendly infrastructure is. Whether there's enough parking, let's say 1,000 people show up on a bike, do you have parking for 1,000 people? That's important. Those bikes have to be somewhere and to be safe for people to feel secure that they're bringing their property, and they will find their bike when they want to go home as well.
That brings up a really interesting point here about the sort of the economics, the business of mobility. Will a lot of companies or individuals still look at mobility and alternative mobility options and go, yeah, if I've got time on my hands, etc. But in a time-poor environment like this, how do you encourage people to change that mindset?
Yeah, so having the facilities, the infrastructure is one thing. There are other elements. So you've got to get, let's say, we say, is it just the government? But it's scheduling. Let's say if you told everyone that school buses only ran between certain hours. There are some drastic, let's say it's not drastic, it's sort of life-changing changes that need to be done in a city that make the city operate in a different way. It's a 24-hour city. Okay, so between this hour and this hour is when schools operate, and these are the times the buses run. These are the times that people can have for leisure. These are the times you break. So some cities even have a two-part schedule in the day, the morning shift and the afternoon shift. So you give different people a different time. We can all be effective with technology now. We can work from home for 4 hours and work from the office for 4 hours. There are so many things you can do. It's not just about putting pressure on the roads or the infrastructure here to try get more people through it, the throughput. I know that Jaydeep said get more throughput out of the streets, but actually my effort would be a different way. I would make half the roads in the city one way. I would go through all the communities and make everything go one way, and that would make people who are on bikes feel more safe, that they can cycle through the community without cars coming from both directions or buses coming from another direction. So you would limit the times, you would adjust the times, you would adjust the roads, but very simply by just saying, okay, the flow is this way, and that would allow people to sort of go through the neighborhoods in a more secure way. So there are simple things that can be done, but there are also drastic things that can be done in terms of saying all school buses must run between 6 and 7, and that's it, and nobody else is really on the road, so that's going to run.
And I think a classic mistake is a lot of decisions get made by CEOs who look at things in their own perspective. The vast majority of your staff are probably not travelling to work the same way that you are, so put yourself in their shoes. You, Sam, had mentioned something brilliant, which is, it might have been a little bit of a joke, but I think it's a brilliant business opportunity.
No joke.
Okay. Can you have a shower and changing rooms?
I tell
in
every
the
CEO,
office?
I tell every CEO I meet, we have showers and changing rooms in all our facilities, and I actually, I take people and open the door of the changing room and say, this is our shower and the changing room, and they don't understand why it's a part of the tour of the bike shop. They say, oh, you have showers and changing rooms. I'm like, oh, you don't have showers and changing rooms in your big corporation? No. Oh, why is that? Don't you want your staff to go for lunch and then go for a walk or a run and then come back for the 3 o'clock meeting fresh and pumped up? Or you want them to be like they can't talk in the afternoon because they've been eating and there's at 3 o'clock, and you don't want to deal with anyone at 3 o'clock. But if you went for a run at 2 or a walk, you'd be energized for the afternoon shift. So be more productive. That's how you make people more productive.
Gents, I mean, we could talk about this for hours. Unfortunately, time is against us on this one. A lot of this comes back down to regulation. Just want your brief thoughts on regulation at the moment. Again, I think cycling's been around for longer, and therefore we've seen regulation work to a certain degree. Would you agree with that one?
Absolutely,
or
yes.
could more be done?
It's very good. It's very, very good. It's a very high level, and it's generally a very safe city for cycling. And if you do want to cycle for leisure, you've got the best facilities on the planet, really.
Because I suppose you can go both one of two ways, can't you? You look at what's going on in London at the moment and the uproar with the cycle lanes in London and other parts of the UK, which just aren't working with the sort of the old structure there. So I suppose it can work two ways, over regulation, etc. Plans for Cycle Hub. What's next in terms of what we've been discussing?
We try to influence more people. We're actually going out towards the schools more. We're trying to get. We really want cycling to be part of the lifestyle, and we think, for example, everyone who reaches the age of 11 at school must have a cycling safety or proficiency course, something that would teach them how to ride safely in the neighborhood or ride to school. So it should be mandatory in every school in the country. It sounds like a dictatorial, but that's the way it should be. It should be you must learn how to ride a bike, or at least learn the rules of the road in the UAE when you're 11 or 12. This will give you some confidence in riding your bike around town when you grow up, or in the meantime, until you can afford a car, until you're 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever. But at least for the next 7 years, you could use a bike. You wouldn't have to ask someone to give you a lift.
It's the Cycle Hub with the H. And a big thanks so check them out on socials, get part of the process. Big thanks to our two co-founders, Sam and Jadeb, for joining us live this afternoon. The prosecution rests on this occasion, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honour.
The jury's out, and we will get a judgment from Judge Petch in just a few moments' time. This is Starting Up with Virtue.
Weather check.
With Air Arabia, take a walk down memory lane and celebrate 20 years